today's video, we will going to do a chatbot and a chat box. First, we must create a folder in a SAMP and htdocs. Name it chatbot. And create index.html. This HTML code implements a two-user registration form. It begins with a standard doc-type HTML declaration in an HTML structure where the language is set to English, lang in. Inside the head section, it includes a character encoding UTF-8, viewer setting for responsiveness, and a link to an external CSS file which is styles.css. For styling, the page title is set to user registration. Within the body, a div with the class form container holds the form elements, and the first form user.form is for inserting username for user1. It contains a text input field for the username and a submit button that allows the user to proceed to the next step. Once user1 submits their username, the second form user2.form appears. This form is initially hidden using style_display.none. It prompts the user to enter username for user2, and it includes an input fields and a submit button similar to the first form. The final part of the form is hidden as submission form registration.form that contains two hidden input fields. This field stores the usernames entered by both users. The forms is submitted to a PHP script which is register.php for processing when both usernames are entered. A submit button is included, but it is hidden. Let's create a styles.css. This CSS code creates a visually immersive universe theme user interface. The body has a starry sky effect using a gradient. Transitioning from black to deep blue is centered using flexbox. The form container has a frosted glass effect with a blurred backdrop and soft white shadow, providing a modern and editorial feel. The stars are animated to flicker in a random pattern using keyframes, adding to a cosmic theme. The input fields and buttons are styled to have the same width and height, with a semi-transparent background and white text. When focused, the input fields change background color and gain green border, while buttons have a smooth color transition. The hover effects on the form container slightly scales it up and adds a stronger shadow, while the button grows in size and changes color when hovered, giving the interface a dynamic and interactive feel. Let's create a file script.gss. User1 form. When the enter button for user1 is clicked, the username is captured from the input field username1. If a username is provided, the user1 form is hidden and the user2 is shown. User2 form. When the enter button for user2 is clicked, the username is captured from the input field username2 also. If a username is provided, it is stored in a hidden input field and the form is submitted, sending the both username to a server. Star creation. This function generates a specific number of stars, which is num_star. Each star is randomly sized between 1px and 3px and placed in a randomization on the screen. Star animation. Each star has a random opacity and animation delay, making them flicking without different timings. The create stars function is called 150 star for a dance effect. Show user2 form. This function hides the user1 form, display the user2 form. This is also an alternative way to toggle between the forms. Let's open SAMP control panel, and after we open SAMP, let's start the Apache MySQL. Let's open Chrome and search localhost --dashboard and open php-y-admin, and let's create our database. Let's create register.php. The script first establishes a connection to the MySQL database using the MySQLE extension. The database details server name, username, password, and DB name are defined at the start. It checks if the connection is successful. If the connection fails, it outputs an error message and stops further execution. The script retrieves the username entered for user 1 and user 2 from the false request submitted by the form. These values are assigned to the variables user 1 and user 2. Prepared statement. The script prepares an SQL query to insert the user 1 data into the user table. It uses question mark placeholder for the username and user type. The find param methods finds the variables user 1 and user type to the query. The user type 1 is set to user 1 to indicate this is the first user. If either query fails, an error message is displayed that includes the specific error returned by MySQL. The script closes the preferred statement and database connection once the process is complete. Let's create success.html. The head section contains metadata including the character set U2F8, the viewport setting for responsiveness, and a title for the page messenger chat, and an external CSS file success.html for styling. The body contains the main content of the page. This is the main container that holds both user 1 and user 2 chat boxes, ID and class. The chat box for user 1 is given an ID of chatbox1 and the chat box. Inside this chat box, the header section contains display as a username 1, 2 buttons for voice call and a video call with respective icons. A div with ID messages 1 to display the messages for user 1. The actual messages will be dynamically added using JavaScript. The user can type a message in the input field and with ID message input, then press the send button to send messages. The second chat box for user 2 follows the same structures as user 1. Username displayed as user 2 name for initiating calls with the same icons. ID messages 2 for user 2 messages. The user 2 can type a message in the messages input field and send it with the send message 2. This button allows the user to go directly to chat page chatbox.html when click. This inline JavaScript listen for the click event to the go to chatbox button. When the button is clicked, it directs to the user to the chatbox.page. This external JavaScript file success.js is linked to handle further dynamic functionally for the character interface. However, the contents of this are not provided in the current code. Let's create success.js. Send the message, adds it both user chat boxes, and store it in the database. Let's create store message.php. It connects to a database using credential, localhost, root, empty password, and user data database. It retrieves the data sender, receiver, and message data from a post request. PHP script connects to MySQL database, fetches all messages from the messages. Let's create chatbox.html. Doctype HTML tells the browser that this is an HTML5 document. The web page language is English. Inside body, chat container, a nice looking box that holds title AI chat box at the top, a text input, and a send button for the user to type messages. A round bottom underneath the chat to go to under page success.html. CSS styling, overpage, soft pink gradient background centered vertically and horizontally, purple and pink gradient, rounded corners and a little shadow. Different background colors for user messages and butterflies. User messages pink background and purple text, while bot messages light pink background and the dark text. Messages are aligned differently, right for user, left for bot. The input field is styled to blend in. The button has a hover effect, big round and a pink with hover effects, color changes, light zoom. JavaScript gets the text the user type and adds it to the chat as user message, clears the input box after a short delay, 0.5 seconds, it triggers a butterfly. And this is our final result. Let's search localhost-chat and open homepage.html.